Hello, I'm Joe Barks. Welcome to another edition of The Road Back, brought to you by Club and Resort Business, Club and Resort Chef, and the Club and Resort Chef Association. Today's episode is sponsored by E-Z-GO, a leading global manufacturer of golf cars, utility vehicles, and personal transportation vehicles. E-Z-GO was born during a hot summer in 1954 in a cramped one-room machine shop in Augusta, Georgia, when two brothers started with a simple belief that they could build a better golf car than any other vehicle then on the market. Since 1960, E-Z-GO has been part of Textron Incorporated, the Fortune 500 company headquartered in Providence, Rhode Island, that has operations in 25 countries and more than 35,000 employees worldwide, and is known for powerful brands that include Cessna, Beechcraft, and Bell Helicopter. Today, E-Z-GO vehicles are designed and manufactured by the Textron Specialized Vehicles Division, that also manufactures commercial and industrial utility vehicles and turf maintenance equipment, and includes Cushman and Jacobson, two other well-known and respected brands in the golf and club industries. For more information on how E-Z-GO golf cars feature game-changing technology and innovations to improve vehicle efficiency and enhance the user experience, go to easygo.txtsv.com. For today's fresh insight into how club and resort properties are meeting the challenges posed by the coronavirus outbreak and finding new and innovative ways to boost business levels and start their return to full operations, we're going to take a look at some special efforts that Ansley Golf Club in Atlanta, Georgia has made to make sure it includes its supplier and vendor partners as part of its recovery efforts. Ansley was featured as a cover story in Club Resort Business's April 2019 issue. It's one of a dozen or so private clubs in the U.S. that has two distinct properties, each with golf courses. Its original property, which dates back to the club's founding in 1912, is in an Atlanta neighborhood with a 9-hole course that has seen significant change over the years. And it also has a property in the Atlanta suburb of Roswell that it acquired through a merger in 1999 with the former Settendown Creek Golf Club. With us today from Ansley is Blake Parrish, the club's food and beverage services manager. Blake, thanks for giving us a few minutes today. And why don't you start by giving us a little brief overview of how the coronavirus outbreak has affected both of your operations, how management's responded, and where things stand now, and what the outlook is going forward.
Great. Thanks, Joe. It's a pleasure to be with you all. So I think with most clubs, coronavirus had all operations come to kind of an abrupt end. When I went back and looked at the men's grill and we reopened, the date that was on the newspaper still hanging was March 17th. So what we tried to do initially, as soon as everything shut down, was to make sure that we had our staff engaged. So we reached out through Zoom and found new mediums, and we challenged the idea that this was all unprecedented and that this was going to, in any way, interrupt everything that we were doing. So we set up staff engagement series where they talked on a weekly basis, and we put together a video from our staff to actually thank the membership for helping sustain them financially throughout the crisis. The board responded and put together a video of theirs and thanked the staff for being on board and being the number one asset that we have here at the club. So as we worked through the first few weeks, we had nothing going on campus until we started a gradual reopening. Now, Georgia was pioneers in the reopening strategy. We were a little bit weary at first as to how headstrong we were charging ahead with reopening. However, we had a tremendous response from our membership. We had zero issues with reopening, and it's actually ended up being a playbook for some of the other states to reopen. We wanted to make sure we did everything calculated but purposeful, and we pushed forward with conviction. It took a lot of courage to reopen things as fast as we did, but what was important for us was having a management culture that allowed us the space to learn and adapt. We didn't really wait on other clubs to see what happened. We put things in place, and when we realized that one was more popular than the other, we discontinued the program that wasn't working, and we focused on the ones that were and tried to come up with new innovative ideas after that. So instead of opening our indoor dining spaces, we bought some Komodo Joes and had them outside at the turn, and we're doing cookouts with grab-and-go stations. We reopened our pool operations with limited seating in between each chair outside. So we're looking forward to having all of our indoor operations reopen, and we're about halfway through that process right now and trying to staff up to get there.
I know, Blake, you told us that through all these efforts, you've really taken some extra steps to make sure your supplier partners were considered from the beginning as you formed and implemented your response and recovery strategies. What was the thinking behind that? And what are some examples you have of how you've included some supplier considerations in some of your initiatives?
Some of it had happened by chance. I mean, we started looking for suppliers to provide us with masks, and we found one of our tennis apparel companies that supplies our Pro-Am that was willing to take bathing suit material and turn it into the mask. So we purchased those from them. We realized that we had canceled our Easter and Mother's Day floral orders because obviously those events weren't going to happen. However, our vendor reached out to us and said, I have all these extra flowers, can you guys help me do anything with them? So we sent a push out to our membership and asked if anybody wanted them, and the response was tremendous. We put together over 250 orchids that we had all of our members drive through valet on Mother's Day, pick them up. We did it with no surcharge, and it was just an opportunity for us to give back to our florist and keep them in business. When we did that, we realized that we were helping save jobs with our vendors. We were helping our partners become sustainable again. So we started scanning our environment for other opportunities to do that. There's some relaxed laws in Georgia allowing us to do to-go wine now during this coronavirus outbreak. So we instituted a half-off bottles of wine program. We had the option of either discounting dues or pausing dues for our membership because they couldn't use their clubs, or finding another way to give back to them for sustaining everyone financially. And the half-off wine program was the way to do it. So what we found is when we started calling our reps, half of them had been furloughed. And as we started to order wines throughout this program, they were able to bring more staff back. It also helped bolster our curbside to-go program. So what we found was a symbiotic relationship between innovative reopening strategies and helping our partners bring people back from furlough and get back in business again.
So how have your suppliers kind of responded and shown appreciation for that extra consideration? And how do you think that might help you, for all parties involved as you continue back on the road to recovery?
So let's take a company like EasyGo. We ordered some extra carts so that we could go down to single rider golf. And they responded by giving us a few extras for free that we could use so that our sanitation team could be running around the course and sanitizing the restrooms more often, sanitizing handles, rails, things like that. Another critical one was our lifeguarding company. So we were one of the first pools to get certified and reopened. And as they were trying to bring their staff back, we allowed them to use our pool as a training ground for all the lifeguards that could then go out and help get the other clubs open. So again, we found this business community relationship that was it was a little bit bigger than just taking care of our own employees and taking care of the partners that have been taking care of us for all these years.
Blake, what would you have in the way of suggestions for some other club managers for some of the best practices in doing this to make sure you're not compromising, putting your club and your members' interests at the forefront, but still importantly taking care of your suppliers as well?
I think scanning your environment and looking for those opportunities. And one of the most important things we found was just ask the members, what do you guys want to see reopen? Ask your partners, how has this affected you? How has your business been affected? How can we help you get back to business? 9 times out of 10 that they know what they need, and you can find a way to get there just by asking the question. I always recommend start with your independent contractors, people like a DJ or your pianist for your Sunday brunches. They don't have anywhere else to play right now. So contact them first. They're a part of your team. Next, I would say look at your local businesses because that's part of your community. So your valet service, you may have security, you may have a housekeeping team that even though they're part of a local company, they still work individually in your building every single day. And then the last group I would say to contact and make sure are part of that is the national suppliers. So our linen company paused all of our minimums and our pars, and we wanted to try to get our linen back in service as soon as we could, because that's a contribution to the overall economy and in a way a duty that we have to all get everything moving.
Well, sounds great, Blake. And you haven't mentioned that you did all this in the middle of a GM transition as well, right?
We did. Our GM left and took a wonderful opportunity for him and his family, and we were able to bring someone with Ansley roots back, Calvin Bowling, and he joined right throughout this crisis. So I think the key to everything was engagement, having the board engaged down to every single employee communicating with each other, and having that really healthy business environment was what made it a smooth transition. So really, all the credit goes to our team and their attitudes throughout this entire thing, that this isn't unprecedented. If we adapt and we stay flexible, we'll make it through this thing.
Great, Blake. We really appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us, and we'll look forward to hearing more about Ansley's success going forward. Once again, this has been The Road Back, brought to you by Club and Resort Business, Club and Resort Chef, and the Club and Resort Chef Association. And today's episode was sponsored by EasyGo. If you have a great idea or success story you'd like to see featured on a future episode of The Road Back, please contact us at editor@clubresortbusiness.com.